Earlier today, I got a message from someone who I'm in communication with on the channel, and she had let me know that her and her cousin were having a conversation. And one said that when we die, we're going to become like angels, and the other said that we're going to get spiritual bodies and remain children of God and kingdom of priests, just in spirit body. So she asked if I would put out a video on it, if God put that on my heart. And of course, I'm happy to put out a video on anything that you ask for, so please always feel free to ask. So let's go to the word. Matthew 22:30, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Mark 12:25, when the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Luke 20:35 through 37, but those who are considered worthy of taking part in the age to come and in the resurrection from the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage, and they can no longer die, for they are like the angels. They are God's children, since they are children of the resurrection. But in the account of the burning bush, even Moses showed that the dead rise, for he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So we're consistently seeing here that we're going to be like the angels, but here in Luke 20:36, we also see that they are God's children, since they are children of the resurrection. So what does it mean to be like the angels? What does he mean by that? 1 Corinthians 15:51 through 53. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. So here's how I understand things. Here's what God has taught me and what I teach you. That when he was here, he was concerned about the heart. He said that true worshipers must worship him in truth and in spirit, because God is spirit, that we are a temple, that we must be reborn. And he was constantly talking about the heart. You're defiled by the heart, or you're made pure by the heart. You must become sanctified and holy as God is holy. You must be disciplined in your flesh. And then we know that the flesh is defined as the mind and body. For example, we see in Ephesians 2:3 that among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh. What is the flesh, Paul? Carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath like the rest of mankind. So previously, we lived in the desires of our body and mind. We're still in our body and mind. That's the flesh that has to be disciplined. The reason we can't live in our body and mind is because the body and mind are vulnerable. They're weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. You remember that Jesus said that in the Garden of Gethsemane? And so we can't live in the flesh. We need to live in the place where we're willing in the spirit, and the spirit is going to work with our heart, because that's the place where God places his spirit. Now, in Ezekiel 36:26 through 27, we're told that when God makes us a new creation, he removes our heart of stone. He removes that defiled heart, and he places in us a heart of flesh, a softened heart, and then he gives us a new spirit, and that's his spirit. He places his spirit in our hearts. So, as I've explained to you before, what is the importance of the soul? What is the soul, and what's the importance of the soul? We have to understand our design if we're going to know how we're supposed to live, what's expected of us. The soul is made up right now of the mind, body, heart, and spirit. When God made us a living soul, he formed us from the dust. So there were the makings of a man with no life in him. And then he breathed his breath, his spirit, into us through our nostrils, and man became a living soul. Mind, body, heart, and spirit. You notice that the occult and New Age loves to leave out the heart. They say just mind, body, and spirit. Well, what the heck does that mean? No, we're mind, body, heart, and spirit. And the heart is where we're going to be justified. So why would you leave that out, world? Gee, I wonder. So here's what happens is that we become reborn. We become reborn in the part of our soul that we're able to become reborn in, the part that God has chosen to become reborn. And that is in the heart and spirit. We become like the angels in heart and spirit, but we're still living in this flesh. We're still living in the body and mind, even though we have a reborn heart and spirit. Technically the heart, right? We don't actually receive like a different spirit from the one that God had put in us. He adds his spirit. So now we have a heart that's being sanctified and made holy through the ministry of the Spirit that was placed in our heart. He communicates with our spirit. He cleanses our heart. So we're reborn from above. Now we are able to have spiritual understanding. We're able to truly be consecrated to him. We're able to receive his ministry, and we're being changed. And we know that we are being reborn because we know that we are a new creation. We don't feel the same. We don't behave the same. We don't do the same things, listen to the same things, and he continues to change us. So what does it mean that we're going to be like the angels? We're being reborn from above in our hearts, communicating with his spirit by our spirit. Now our flesh is capable of being disciplined because we didn't have that capacity before. As long as we're living there in heart and spirit, conformed to his spirit, now the physical flesh is forced to conform to the spirit who is in our hearts. That's why it's so important that we make that decision each and every day to be living there, and that we learn how to train ourselves to live there, because the world has trained us to live in the flesh constantly through schooling, through enticements, from the things that we ingest into our bodies, into our minds. We're forced to regurgitate. We're forced to follow this system that is totally satanic and causes us to constantly be in our flesh, to constantly be working for the world. And that's not God's way. And so as you're being changed, don't be freaked out by that. Don't be freaked out that God is giving you a lot of time on your hands, because he wants you to be connected, to be self-connected, to slow down, because you can't hear him if you don't do that. If you're busy, or you're over caffeinated, or you're over sugared, or you're working as a machine, you cannot hear him. There's no way that you can hear him. You're working for two masters, or you're attempting to. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't play that game. So I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. So that's the seventh trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable. So we're already getting an image of what that looks like. Our bodies are going to be changed. We're going to be glorified. We have to be made imperishable like the angels. You can't be perishable if you're going into eternity, can you? So we'll have a reborn. That body now is going to match our reborn from above heart. And now we're going to have this soul that is eternal. Mind, body, heart, and spirit. It's eternal, cannot die. For the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. So how do we answer this question? Are we going to be angels? Well, we're going to be similar to angels. We're going to be like angels, and we're children of God. So both of you answered the question. One said we will become angels when we die. The other said we get spiritual bodies and remain children of God. We do indeed remain children of God and a kingdom of priests. I don't know what spirit body is because I don't see that in the word, but we will receive glorified bodies. If that is in the word and I'm wrong, feel free to comment, and I would love to be edified if that's in the word, but that is, I've never seen it in the word. And the word says that we will become like angels. So I don't know that we can necessarily say that we become angels, but we become like angels in the sense that we will be imperishable. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for asking this question to the person who asked. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.